is not perfect, or the start time used for the relay timer isn't obviously perfect, so I'm just going to use the time I got in game with my own timing. And yeah, just rewatch this, talk about it a bit, and get out a recording of it that we can upload to speedrun.com. Alright, let's go. It's going to be a bit weird without the sound, but it should be fine. Yeah, so we come in right at the start. The start was fine. I mean, there's not really a lot to say about the first couple of minutes, to be honest. Just a bunch of waiting around now. I was like pretty nervous at the start of this run for some reason. Not quite sure why. Maybe it was because I felt the pressure to pull Team Mog back when the team was behind. But yeah, I think the early game of this run was not spectacular. I mean, I didn't get great RNG, but I also didn't execute amazingly for the first, I'd say 30 minutes or so, 20-30 minutes. Man, this this wait period is really quite long, isn't it? I think this next section didn't go great. I had a couple of issues with letting go of the targeting of the soldiers too early, so the thunders didn't actually hit the brake sites. So maybe we'll see what I mean in a second. Hit this first guy fine. The second guy wasn't there, so I had to switch sides. I got that guy, and then it was these two lower level ones that sort of really messed with me. Yeah, there I sort of like released the brake sight to release the lock on too early, and I think it stopped me getting the brake sight. So yeah, I think I lost like 10 seconds there alone, to be honest. But I think the rest of this first tutorial mission was fine. I like to run up to the front of this guy, like right into the center in front of him, because quite often if he hasn't just done a jump or something, you get a brake sight. So I was quite happy to see that I got the brake sight there using that strat. Normally I like to run around with ace here just because I get bored, but not really any reason for this. I think I got onto the elevator at like 2:45 on my timer. If I remember correctly, normally I'd be looking for like 2:35, so I was definitely about 10 seconds behind where I'd ideally be at this point in the run. I mean, I get 2:35s really consistently, so to get like a 2:45 was just basically pure time loss. Like to switch to queen there just as she like spawns on top of ace, get her behind the MA, and then just thunder it down. Shouldn't ever get an attack off doing it that way. Nice and quick. I got 2 first aid kits and a strength serum here, so that's pretty much as good as you can hope for. 3 first aid kits is better just because of menu space, but it's nice to have those first aid kits right at the top. But 2 and 1 is fine. It's nice to have 3 aura items this early. Killing these 2 isn't ever really any trouble. Again, walking straight up to the center of the first large MA gives a break site. And then I did 100% here because I just wanted to, I knew the ROM hadn't started great, so I didn't want to mess about with any 20% YOLOs. I was thinking about it just in case it came off for the relay, but I thought better of it. And then yeah, killing this guy was pretty standard, I think. I don't remember anything going wrong with this. I'm not sure if the way I do this is the fastest, to be honest. I've seen some other people do it other ways that look a bit faster. So I might be able to improve on my strat here for chipping down Dane's life, but it's not too bad. Just spamming Blizzards with Ace and then 7. 7's cast time on Blizzard feels a bit slow sometimes though. So yeah, 4:37 mission time, not ideal, but not the end of the world. Didn't get that quick skip there on that cutscene you often get. I seem to always get that one a bit slow. I don't know why. Don't know if it's something to do with the way I'm mashing or what, but I always seem to get that one a tiny bit slow. Got the dodge roll off there, which was nice. I got it off pretty late actually, so I got quite a way across the room, which was nice. I think I got all good skips here. Don't think I got any frames of the cutscenes come up. So I mean, I think my execution of the like in between missions stuff was pretty good for this run, all in all. I mean, it was, I think, just the early game, the actual mission stuff wasn't the best. This menu was pretty good though, I think. So managed to execute this nice and fast. This is one I've been struggling with recently as well. Well, not really struggling, but more like making small fumbles. So it was nice to get that one pretty clean. Now we're almost off to the first real mission. I think really it was kind of just the tutorial that I felt like super nervous in. I think by this point I was feeling a little less nervous. I mean, you can see from the splits that I didn't really lose much time after that first tutorial mission. I lost time here, but I think my PB had primed REM, so it's pretty much a guaranteed time loss on non-primed REM for this mission, so just got to really accept the time loss here, to be honest. Getting knocked down here kind of sucks. It happens more often than not, but sometimes you can dodge the bullets nicely. This guy was weird, because normally you get him in 2 here, but the first Blizzard I did didn't do much damage to him, which is very strange. I don't think I've ever seen it do so little damage. So I don't know if I actually missed him and he got chipped by something else, like one of the other like AI characters. This guy trolled a little bit as well, jumped away. It's kind of annoying having to hit them twice with non-primed RAM. So I was quite low on mana here, and I had to switch to Cadet to do blizzards, which isn't ideal. But we got there in the end. Managed to close it out with Cease. Make sure we finish on Cease for the running around in town. And then I got another aura item, which was nice. So I'm up to 4 here, so that's pretty much as good as you ever get. Almost never get 5, because you need both guards there to survive, and all 3 guards at the start of the run in the tutorial mission to survive. And you need them all to drop aura items, so having 4 here is pretty much the best you're ever going to do. I don't think I've ever had 5 even. Like, it's theoretically possible, but I don't think I've ever even had it. And to be honest, 5 might even be like more than is useful, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, I think my movement in between missions has actually got really good, to be honest. I've got really good at like immediately running to the guy at the back on the left hand side and just like pinpoint ending up in front of him. It's one of the more annoying small bits of movement in the run, to be honest, I think, to get down and like used to, is especially at the 3 times speed. Quite hard to sometimes to run right up to that guy and immediately talk to him. But yeah, just going through the mission, going through the sort of mid-mission stuff before Toggereth now. Yo, what is up, Chris? I'm taking it. Did your run finish? Focus up. Dude, you have no idea how focused I was during this run. Not actually at this point. I was still kind of feeling the nerves at this point, which was like super weird because I don't really normally get nervous for these things. But I think because the team was so far behind, I felt like the pressure to get a good run going. No, it's just a still image, Harvey, obviously. I just thought it'd be useful to have up there for reference so that, well, for my benefit, so I can remember which splits were good and which ones weren't. And just for the benefit of the eventual video, I suppose. Yeah, I think I was still I think I'd shaken off most of the nerves at this point, but I still wasn't doing great. A lot of my early time losses were in those first 2 missions, where I hadn't quite shook the nerves yet. But it was weird because it was only my like mid-mission. It was only like my missions that were like particularly nervy. Like my execution of the menus in the in-between missions was actually really crisp, so it's kind of weird. Bad Extractor, Bad Macalania, Chimera Ambush. Ugh. Rip. I think this mission was really good up until, might be misremembering now, but I guess we'll see in a minute, but I think this mission was pretty good up until the final boss. Then I might have got trolled a bit. No primed again, which is obviously not ideal. I think up to this point I've had no primes at all in my first 2 missions, so that kind of sucks. It's just like, each prime is probably like 5-10 seconds time save, so definitely can improve on this early game for the next run. But yeah, this is all just standard execution now. There's nothing particularly spicy going on in these early missions. I've started like blizzarding these front two guys as well, but I don't even know if that's necessary because I think they disappear. But I think blizzarding the back two guys I might try to start doing. The reason I normally try and blizzard the front two guys is sometimes your characters get caught up fighting the soldiers, and if they don't run off the edge of the screen, then these machinas sometimes get delayed with spawning, which obviously loses you time. That was kind of fortunate killing the MA and then getting pushed through the screen. Because it kind of meant I didn't have to wait for Jack's animate. I didn't have to like wait to animation cancel Jack's with Jack's dodge roll after the attack. Gonna go eat now. Make those fangs goners. I'm not sure what the fangs are, but thank you. Cease is really fast in academia in between the missions. We use her there because she is like unbelievably fast outside of missions. She's just not like super fast in missions. Typically we use Cater for most of the run, but for these early missions, Rem is just better because her starting MP pool is so large that she can like cast loads of spells, and Cater doesn't really have that same luxury. And we kind of need Jack and Machina here to do the damage dealing at certain points. So, but after this mission, we'll pretty much exclusively use Cater for running around. I think this didn't go well, this fight. Like, I think he gets up really quickly. Oh no, actually it wasn't too bad. Okay, I must have been thinking of one of my practice runs. Yeah, he got up with like a slither of health left there. Normally, you'd want to like take him out before he gets up, but it's not too bad. 2:28 mission time is like fine. Normally though, I'm looking for like 2:25 or less, but there's a couple of things that weren't perfect, so 2:28 is fine. Yeah, so here's where we use Cease in between missions, because for some reason she's just like absurdly fast in academia, and it's like the only place that she's absurdly fast. Always nice to not talk to the Tombury there. Cease has got like a really annoying like 5 or 6 second dialogue line if you accidentally talk to the Tombury, and it's really easy to accidentally talk to the Tombury that stood right next to Kurosame. So it's kind of nice to not accidentally mash into that. Oh, I forgot completely. So annoying when you talk to the random cadets, because you're pre-mashing to exit the door, but you mash a little bit too early, and then you talk to one of the cadets sat in one of the desks. Doesn't lose a lot of time, loses you like a second or two, because you just mash straight out of the dialogue as well, but it's kind of annoying. Just shouldn't be pre-mashing confirmed too much there, to be honest. So we go in and do a menu here for some amulets, which these give you a bunch of extra magic stats and MP. So we give that to Queen, Rem, and Queen, Rem, and Cater, because they're sort of the main three that we use magic on throughout the run. That menu was pretty clean, to be honest. I've been getting a lot better at that menu since I've started practicing again. I don't really remember how Iska went, to be honest. But if I don't remember it being particularly bad, it was probably decent enough. Yeah, I didn't get any meaningful primes here again. So really quite a low roll early game in terms of the prime RNG. But I think my movement here was pretty good. Kato is the fastest in a mission with her weapon out. She's like about 50% faster than everyone else, pretty much. It's kind of crazy how fast she is with her gun out. Plus we give her accelerate, so she's basically just motoring along. Can be a little annoying sometimes, because sometimes it can be hard to line up for those magicite placements with her because she's so fast. Sometimes you end up just firing off an elementary because you press confirm. But I mean, it's not really something to complain about. But yeah, I think this was the part in the run where I'd like shook off all the nerves. I think my movement here was pretty on point. I think this was when I started to get really focused, because I think I'd shook off the nerves and then I just sort of settled into a rhythm and just was pretty much 100% focused on like just doing everything as well as I possibly could. Kind of crazy. I don't think I've ever been. It's quite hard to get that focused without having like the motivation for it, and obviously the motivation here was trying to catch up in the relay. I mean, it's always a bit easier to get focused though when you're not sort of actually streaming at the same time. I mean, obviously I was streaming to the relay, but I wasn't having to like interact with the chat and that, so it makes it a little bit easier to just laser focus in. I just kind of like to run around here. You don't really need to, but I find that if you just run around loads, it's less likely you're just going to get hit by an errant poison. I also try and just blast any of the anklegs whilst they run past if I can. This water pretty much always disappears on 23:45, so you can just run down there at the last moment and then get away. I think I got this guy immediate. Yeah, 3 in a row. I was a little bit worried because he started to swing his gun at Cater. He hits her, he'll knock her down, and it doesn't kill you, but it deals quite a lot of damage, and I think 2 hits normally kills her, so I was quite happy to get that third blizzard off before killed her. And I got through here with 23:03 on the clock, which is kind of what I normally aim for. I've had like 23:04 and 23:05 before, but that's really rare. Yeah, and then I did like kind of weird thing there. I don't know why I did that, but I sort of dodged away with Cater and then switched to Jack. I should have just switched to Jack. I don't know why I dodged away, but it lost me a few seconds because I then had to dodge with Jack back towards the the guard, the sort of commander, to kill him. Yeah, this is all good. It was nice to get that guy who, one of those two soldiers that spawns there likes to dodge. So it's nice to get him on the drive past. And then I quite like doing this strat with Shiva to do her sideways attack to get it down to basically one hit from death and then switching out to cease. It lets you keep the targeting on, which stops you losing time if you untarget and then have to retarget, because it takes a few seconds after they die for you to be able to target them to harvest. And then obviously you're in control of cease as you go back into the academia, which is obviously what you want. Quite a few missions actually we try to end with cease as our active party member, just so we start in academia with her and we don't have to go to the save point and assign her. She just saves so much time running around. It's crazy. You just have to have her as your active member, pretty much. It's kind of crazy as well how quickly the first 5 missions go by. And then everything else after that is kind of meaty. So we got another menu coming up here in a second. There aren't a huge amount of menus in this game, to be honest. So we buy a gun for Cater, a sword for Jack, and a teleport stone, which we use later to escape from the only single random encounter we get in the entire game. And then we move on to starting this mission. I think, well, we'll see what happens in a second, but I've got a feeling that I almost messed up the start of this next mission. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I was really worried that Elementary was gonna. I accidentally hit confirm, the confirm button, which obviously makes her do Elementary. I was really worried it was gonna trigger the alarm and then make the place lock down, which would have been quite bad. So I was a tiny bit fortunate there. Almost made a pretty annoying slip up. But yeah, that's the first safety save of the run. That's the first one that we'd agreed to do. I think my labs movement here was pretty good, if I remember. I can always kind of tell how good I'm moving in labs by how far I get to keep this haste. If I get it really good, I can keep it all the way into the next room after this one. Obviously, I lost a bit of time because of the safety save, because I had to run across to the save sphere, so I lost a second or two of the timer. But yeah, sometimes you can get all the way out of the first lab, through the next section, and then into the second area with the haste on. And if you can get that, then that's normally how I tell that that first set of movement went really well. So if I can keep the haste for that long. I was kind of hoping for the bug here, but didn't get it. I haven't got this in such a long time. I'm starting to think that there's something I'm fundamentally doing wrong. But there's a weird quirk with this third lab where if you well, I don't know, we don't know how it's triggered, but sometimes the cutscene where it like looks up at the screen and shows Brian getting weaker, that just stops playing out, and you get control of Cater early, and then you're able to go and exit the door. So yeah, it would be nice to get that, but it's not a huge deal. It probably saves like 5 seconds. So this is like the first usage of Shiva really. But after this point, we basically use her for every mission except the trials at the end. I was really worried as well that Jack was going to die there, because Cater and Jack took a lot of damage at the entry point of that room. I didn't get either of the shield guards to start with, but then I managed to do the jumping twirl attack as I came back past them, which does an AoE, and it has like a sort of an arced path on it, so it was quite easy to get behind them with that. So I was quite happy to get this shield guys. Sometimes they control. This room went really well. I've got like a set path I go for around these guards, starting with the guy on the immediate left, because he's the one you want to shatter to make the last guy spawn. And then sort of moving around to the far side of the room and then back to the start to get that guy. And the execution on that one was just pretty much spot on. Now we switch to Cease, because although she doesn't run as fast on missions, we give her Accelerate at the start of the game, so she's still faster than most of the other cadets. Although we did discover the other day that 8 is actually, with his weapon out, is as fast as Cater, so possibly we might start looking towards using him with Accelerate as an alternate for missions, as a backup for Cater. I think I got these shield guys really good as well. I often try to like let them run at me and run past them and try and get a blizzard in behind them, and then normally they then run in opposite directions and you can only pick them off one at a time, but I've gotten a bit better at positioning myself behind them to kill them, but they still control sometimes, so it's nice to get them nice and quick. We sacrifice Jack here because we don't really need him anymore. We basically bring the bare minimum number of people to this mission. We could bring more, but it's extra menuing before the mission. So at the end, I've normally got just Rem and Queen here. Queen's only here because she's a backup for Rem for the Bryanak fight. So we kill off the colonel there, or lieutenant colonel rather. Makes sure we're on 3 times speed so we can start dodging at max speed towards the door, and go on to Bryanak, which I think went pretty well, but I can't remember. See in a second. So recently we started charging up to Thundarga here, because Foxy realized that by the time Bryanak spawns, if you just start charging from the time you enter, you can charge all the way up to Thundarga, and Rem's actually got enough magic here to get to Thundarga. We're doing this trick where we stand in the back corner. None of his attacks can hit you there. He opened with the like spiral drill thing. That's probably his worst move because it's slow, and he doesn't have he's got like it takes ages to follow up on it, but he followed up with the pull attack, which is nice, and then he followed up with the striker spawning, which is also nice because you can get a bunch of hits in whilst he's not spawning the strikers. So all in all, it wasn't an awful Brian act, but probably can be a little bit faster with a good cycle of his attacks. And then, I mean, this is just a forced death. You can win this fight, but we don't have anywhere near the strength required to beat this boss. So we just take the death and move on with the story. It can get a bit annoying here if Queen is primed, because she can sometimes survive. It's a damage roll. She can survive one of the attacks, then you have to get a hit twice, loses a couple of seconds, but that wasn't an issue here. I think this was a pretty decent mission time. I think I was actually quite surprised to sort of save time on this one. Not because I didn't think the mission went well, but because my PB is pretty strong. So I thought I'd probably go close to like equaling PB. This was funny actually. This mission I got so many primes. I think I had like 8 or 9 primes or something like that, which is just bonkers really. Kind of annoying because none of them were useful. The most useful one I could possibly get here is Cadet, because there's a few points in this run where she uses Blizzard to kill things, to kill like soldiers, and if she's primed, she one hits them rather than 2 hitting them. But unfortunately, I got pretty much everyone except Cater. Had a little bit of trouble with his shield guy, but he didn't provide me too much trouble. He's definitely been worse in the past, but I'm still trying to work out a consistent way to drive by him in like first time. But I haven't found anything consistent yet. The screen is fairly trivial. You can start killing these guys before they've even fallen off the ship sometimes, because your AoE extends so far up into the air, and you basically just wait for the leader to jump over the wall, and then you take him down. I failed to kill the one of the guards on the way past there, and then I had to sort of like cycle around to get him again, so that was a couple of seconds time loss. And then I also sort of really missed the MA there, so that wasn't the best screen, but I didn't lose too much. So we pretty much use Shiva as much as possible in this mission. The only time we don't is when we're in an area where she isn't particularly useful for killing things. This guy trolled a little bit. Sometimes he's fine, sometimes he jumps away a lot. When he jumps away a lot, he's super annoying. But yeah, that went really nice. Managed to wedge myself into the MA and the guard, and just take them down easily. This is quite a nice way of taking out this guy, staring into the side of the train, going sideways, and then using your sideways attack to double hit the guard and kill him. I saw Simpy doing that one in his world record run. It's a nice way to sort of get a guaranteed quick kill on that guard, because he doesn't sort of run out until you get to him anyway, and it allows you to sort of by making sure that you're staring at the wall and going left, your momentum carries you to the left again. So it's just a really nice. Yeah, this guy trolled a bit. I got him on the last possible like chain whip. You get 5 uses of that with the points that 7 has available, and he dodged the first 4. So normally you just hit him first time. He's not normally that much trouble to hit. But this time he decided to just dodge everything, which was super annoying. This train was pretty nice. I mean, this train should be nice every single time. Like, there's completely consistent ways to move through the train so that you just drive by everything. But if you mess one thing up, then all your timings for everything else just gets messed up. So it's very easy to sort of get in a position where everything's not lining up right. Second safety save of the run here. I think we had about 7 or 8 agreed safety saves throughout the run. So I think I probably lost about 35, 40, yeah, maybe like 35 seconds to safety saves. It's about 5 seconds per safety save. Normally I would charge a Blizzara here, but for some reason I was charging Thunder. I think it was because actually, honestly, I think it's because Cater's Blizzard is on Y and Rem's is on A. So I was pressing Y, but that's obviously Thunder for Rem. So I sometimes get a bit confused by which one I'm doing with Rem. But it is what it is. This is kind of like a fake boss. You just hit it a couple of times and it goes up onto the wall. You have to make it go up on the wall though, so you can get it to shoot these trucks. I mean, it's trying to shoot you, but it shoots the trucks and then it creates the passageway for you to go through. In this room, you're basically praying that Shiva gets targeted. Vadra will climb up on the wall, bust in through the wall, and then start firing a lot of missiles. I think I actually got kind of lucky here. So starts targeting Rem, and I start dodging with Jack. Normally it's not too bad to dodge these things because they sort of follow you around, so you just go where they're not. And then as they're coming towards you, dodge past them. But Jack got hit. Jack survived with like 70 HP, but he was primed and he had Protect on. So I'm not sure if I would have died without the Prime, but I don't know if that's physical damage or magical damage. But I may have got lucky with having primed Jack there. The other nice thing about having primed Jack there is that I don't have to use an aura item to kill the Snow Squatch, because Prime effectively gives you aura. So basically save a little bit of time there because I don't have to menu it. It's like I don't know, like a 2-3 second time save probably. Sank was at the top here, and I'm really confused why. I'm really not sure why that was. Normally Machina's at the top. Don't know if I did something slightly different to normal, but it's not a huge thing. Machina's slightly faster because he's got Accelerate. But but it's not a big deal, to be perfectly honest. So we're basically coming to the end of this mission now. Just have to kill a couple of guards, then kill a couple of Colossuses, and it's always nice when you hit that drive-by on those guys. Sometimes if you miss one of them, then they'll like run away from you really far. It just loses a bunch of time unless you chase them down quickly. So now we get into the Captain Inez fight. This is normally pretty decent as long as you hit the break site, which I did. I think I need to work on doing my sideways chain attacks there, because I think because I wasn't chaining them, I was effectively losing DPS, and she got back up, which loses a tiny bit of timing since she's got to fall down again. But I mean, I had a decent mission here. I saved time because my PB had a not great escape, so I think my time save is just from the fact that PB wasn't great. But this was the first point in the run when I was ahead, and I was a little bit surprised to be ahead at this point in the run, to be honest, because I'd had a pretty bad early game and I'd done 2 safety saves, which loses about 5 seconds each. So I'd lost about 10 seconds to safety at this point. And I'd also had not a great early game, so to be sort of like 15 seconds ahead at this point, roughly, was a little bit surprising. I chose to do the extra menu in on Shiva here, getting the summon extension, and the Icicle 12 crit and power +2. This was all just safety for the relay. It's not really necessary. I think those upgrades are not often needed, but it just means that in some situations, if you have a slightly sloppy movement with Shiva, you don't run out of her too early. That extra 10 seconds is a pretty big deal, especially on Big Bridge. On Judecca, it's not so much of an issue. There's not really any places where you're at risk of running out of her too early, but for the Big Bridge mission, it's quite nice. And the Big Bridge mission is kind of tight in terms of number of people you can have die. So if you lose Shiva too early at somewhere, you've only got 1 spare death. So if you use that to summon Shiva, then you've basically got no spare deaths anywhere else in the mission. So it can be pretty rough. I think I was like, at this point, I was I think I don't know if it was because I was on PB pace after escaping the Imperial capital and I knew that the run was going pretty well. But I think I just dialed in a sort of another level of focus after this sort of at this point going into Giudecca, because obviously Giudecca is not a fun mission sometimes. So I just, yeah, I remember starting to feel super, I don't know, just into it, I guess. It's the only way to describe it. Um, so I mean, now we get a couple of minutes of shooting mini game. I think this didn't go great. If I recall, I think I may have almost let some dragons slip through. But yeah, basically at this point in the run, we just have to shoot these dragons with this auto-firing magical cannon. Um, normally they come up either one at a time or in like groups of up to four. When they come up in groups, the ones further back tend to get kill sites on them. I don't know if that's the game just like being nice or what, but it makes it a lot easier because they all just line up and then you just shoot the break sides as they come through your string of bullets. Managed to get a really nice kill here. Sometimes that dragon can troll a bit, depending on which way it jumps. It almost always jumps forward, but sometimes it will jump to the side, and then you end up missing it. I kind of just play as I kind of just like automatically assume it's going to jump forward and then go to that position with Shiva, and then if it doesn't go there, then just unlucky. I kind of see this shooting mini game as the calm before the storm. Because this is where the run kind of picks up in terms of, I guess, technicality. It's probably not the right word, but there's just a lot more stuff that can go wrong past this point in the run over these next couple of missions. Very easy to have Jack die to a Yeti. If you're not paying attention for like 5 seconds, or you're playing a bit too risky. I was intentionally playing like super safe there. Normally, normally I wouldn't bother getting off of the gun for the fireball attacks because they almost never hit you. But I just didn't want to risk that 9 dies here because that kind of sucks for the mission in general. Yo, what's up, Foxy? Yeah. Getting into the meat of the run now. I think I saved it pretty much we didn't agree to save it every save point in Giudecca, but I think I did more than we agreed to because I was kind of just like in the back of my mind I knew this run was going pretty well, at this point, the idea of a PB wasn't really in my mind because that was a bit bad. Normally, I drive by that guy, and then I hit this guy, and yeah, this screen wasn't great. I'd normally kill them a bit cleaner, but I crit the dragon there, so that was nice. But yeah, PB wasn't really. I didn't even really do it because of that, to be honest. I just did it because I think I just did it because I knew I was on decent pace. My main goal in the relay was to just catch up as much time as possible. Okay, this was super annoying. Sometimes Shiva like runs into the snow squatch and pushes it away, and you can't hit the brake sight after it's fallen over itself. It's so annoying that she did that. Honestly. But yeah, in my mind, I was just like, I'm having a good run. I'm probably saving a decent chunk of time for Team Mog. So I just want to guarantee I don't lose any time. That was a super quick kill on the wyvern there, though. That went really well. That's kind of what I've been practicing that same strat over the relay practices, like switching to Jack, running forward to and then turning the camera to face it, targeting it, waiting for it to jump. Like it then tries to claw Jack, but you just dodge it. Then it jumps backwards, and then it offers up a break sight immediately, and you can just lightning flash into that and knocks it down, does a decent chunk of its HP. Then you get a couple of backstabs on it, and it dies really quickly. That room was really good. I got all three of the first enemies in one swoop, and then I got this guy nice and easy. I actually took Rem out of the party at the save point and then saved it, and that's something I've been thinking about doing anyway in normal runs, is taking Rem out of the party there just so she doesn't die. I don't know if I'm gonna do it for world record attempt runs, because I think normally I would just sack Rem in the next section. And if Cater dies, you just accept that the run's like going to shit. But I could probably take a look at it. Yeah, got South Station first, which is quite nice. I started doing this thing where you run straight up to the first jaw horn with Cater, and then just as you get to it, you switch to Jack, and normally it offers up a kill sight, and then Jack hits it when he comes in. It's quite a nice way to kill the first one actually, and it stops Cater dying to it. So that's my new favorite way to kill that. And it actually made that room super quick because sometimes those guys can be a bit trolly. This guy was I was actually playing quite aggressive here actually. Um, I think I was too dialed in to not play aggressive, honestly. Like, I think my intention there was at like before the actual run was to play it like super safe. This guy trolled a bit, I think. Yeah. Well, I say that guy trolled. I kind of messed up killing the kill sites, but sometimes he can be a bit weird. This room was kind of slow, but all in all, it was a good stations. So I've started doing this as well. I don't know why it wouldn't target. Sometimes it doesn't. It won't target for a few seconds on Sansashi, but if you still have Kato and you switch to her and then you harvest him, it like stops his dialogue and then lets you run out the door, so you don't actually have to wait his dialogue. I don't know if it's faster, but it feels faster. But you're probably not talking about much time either way. Having Jack and Kato left at the end here is like so nice. And it was really nice how those 4 Dracobeltians just like all stood on top of Shiva at the start. Also, Lightning Flash here is so good for killing the Dracobeltians. Like, I pretty much only use Lightning Flash on them. Because you can just dodge up into their face and then Lightning Flash, and Jack just follows them around and kills them. Like, sometimes they dodge you, but most of the time you just get them. It's definitely MVP of killing the Dracobeltians, Lightning Flash. I mean, in general, I think Lightning Flash is like a crazy good move. Because you can also like combo it into another attack after the Lightning Flash finishes into like a normal style attack. And then you can dodge roll out of that. So you can actually get some very quick slashes off with Jack if you alternate Lightning Flashes and attacks sometimes. Doesn't always work perfectly, but it works quite nice a lot of the time. I also like to stand at one end with Shiva because she likes to follow you around before the Dracobeltians are out, and then as the Dracobeltians spawn, run to the other end so that she kills the one she's next to, and then Jack can go and kill the other ones. I did a few extra unnecessary attacks on that one there because I wasn't sure if Shiva had just killed it or frozen it with Winter Wonderland, which she sometimes likes to do. I think this was the point when I started to realize that the run was going incredibly well, because I go into this room at 10, like just under 103 on the clock, and I could see what my PB time was, so I kind of knew that I was going to be close to like on PB pace by the time I finished this Bahamut Zero section. I mean, I still wasn't thinking record at this point, but I was definitely thinking PB could be on the table, because I knew there was time to save in Big Bridge, and I knew that I could almost certainly, unless I get like super trolled, get a at least a similar time to my PB on the trials. It's always nice to get a quick breaks out there. Sometimes you don't get offered one for a while. I say a while, it's like 5 seconds, but it feels like forever. You just stood there waiting for a break side to appear. This section doesn't ever really feel like it takes 2 minutes, to be honest. It's always kind of weird to me that killing Celestia here with Bahamut Zero takes 2 entire minutes, because it doesn't feel like it's that long. Yeah, this was the point when I thought that I could genuinely PB in the relay. But at this point, I wasn't even really thinking about what the final time could be. I was kind of just thinking, well, I was kind of just happy that I knew that I would be gaining back a bunch of time for Team Mog. I wasn't really that bothered if I didn't end up getting PB at this point, because I knew that unless I got mega trolled by trials, I'd at least be close to PB, and being close to PB was still well under what my expectation would have been in the relay. Moved a little bit too far past the first Colossus there. Need to work a little bit on movement in that area. Took the save point. Still kind of crazy to me that I took so many saves and still got that time. Although I'm not doing like the bridge trick, the new bridge trick, I still now like this strat of running with Cater to the other side of the room and then switching to Ace. Also, I discovered not long, like a couple of days before the relay, that you can actually just run straight up to that MA there, kill it through the fence, and then run around the back and start killing the guards. But you don't even need to kill the 3 guards at the front for some reason. The game just doesn't care about you killing them. So that's like a 5-second time save. And then now we're basically just into Big Bridge without any of the spicy back and forth strats. I like to kill this guard across the gap here as well. You'll never recover. I'm sure you will. At this point, I was actually wondering if I would have Shiva alive just long enough to kill the commander, but I kind of realized that I was about 10 seconds short, even with the summon extension. It's kind of sad. I also got a 30-second invincible here, and normally you get a minute, so I don't know if I must have activated a different SO, but it doesn't really matter. I got a really good kill on him here. I lost a couple of seconds because I untargeted him, so I had to wait for him to become retargetable, but yeah, still a very good kill with Jack there. You don't often kill him that fast, so it's quite nice. It's a pretty standard section with Shiva here now. There's not a lot to do here other than just kill stuff that comes through gets spawned at the gate. Yeah, there's not really much to say about this section, to be honest. I mean, Big Bridge in general, I don't think has that much going on that's particularly spicy. Not compared to like Giudecca. Giudecca is basically the great gatekeeper of a good run. This guy just dies instantly. Like, not even close. Even without the extra crit and damage, he dies instantly, but... If we did try to attack for the first Yeti and City Escape, we'd have to do the rest of the mission without Shiva. So, no, I don't think we've ever thought about that. Getting here with 5 people alive is always nice. Not having a dead cater. You forget constantly that Shiva and Triad are different things. Yeah. Again, not really much to this here, to be honest. We just go through a couple of sections killing guards. I mean, I think this entire mission is kind of straightforward. It's like... You shouldn't really lose any time here, I don't think. It's kind of annoying that we have to wait here till the 30-second mark to kill those MAs. I really wish there was some way we could force them to spawn early. Yeah, there's really not a lot to say here. I switched to Jack here and sack him because there's not really any value in keeping him around now, and I like to keep all my other party members up. So now I obviously just wait for the MA to come in at the 30-second mark. Side attack him. Move over to the other one, side attack him. Easy peasy. So I like to use Cater here to run now and then switch to the other character to sack. I'm kind of not sure who's faster out of Cater and Shiva, to be honest. To be honest. I mean Shiva's faster, but we don't give her accelerate and we give Cater accelerate, and I don't know if that makes Cater faster than Shiva, to be honest. I think according to the Prima guide, Shiva's movement speed is like 12.12 meters per second, and Cater's is 10.5. But then she gets accelerate, so I don't know what that buffs her up to. Doesn't say at all what the accelerate bonus is. I like to cast a Winter Wonderland here as well to freeze the commander. You can normally pre-cast it before the door drops on the elevator, and then you'll freeze him just as you go through. But yeah, at this point we're basically just running to Gilgamesh. And oh, the other reason I liked sacking off Jack earlier is because then we don't have him left at the end to die to Gilgamesh. So that was a pretty quick Gilgamesh death for 2 characters. Yeah. When I split when I split this split, this was when I knew I was on to a pretty strong run. I knew I still had 2 safety saves to do inside trials. And 1 before Cater, so there's like 15 seconds of time loss. But I expected that I could at least match pace, match PB pace in the trials. So at this point, I was kind of thinking that I was actually fairly confident I would be able to PB, which is quite nice. Still didn't have any expectations of record, to be honest. I thought it'd be like a micro PB if it happened, because I still needed to. I think at this point world record was like 40 seconds faster than my PB, so I'd need to save like a good 30 plus seconds on PB in trials, which obviously I knew was possible because I was a minute slower than the existing world record in the trials, but I'd never really been able to find a way to materialize that time save. Oh shit, I accidentally paused the video for a second there. But yeah, at this point I was kind of just hoping that Cater didn't like Mega Troll, but also because I've got the extra damage on Shiva, I was also aware that I could basically just ignore trying to hit his break sites and just try and run into him and side attack him, because two side attacks basically kill him when you've got the extra when you've got the extra like 12 power on and 12 crit on Shiva. So my plan in this one was just to run at his face, which kind of worked to some degree, but he dodged a bunch of the attacks. Like he jumped back there, dodged that one. This one got him a bit, which was quite nice. I think I got a crit in there, which was very nice. He got hit again here as he came in. And then he kind of dances around, but then I get him eventually. Ended up being a 29-second mission time, which is pretty good. For a really good fight, you're looking for like low 20s, but I mean 29 is still pretty solid. And I think I actually remember for like the first time ever to put 3x speed onto at the end of that fight before it transitioned out. Which isn't like a huge thing, but it just means that the first few steps you take aren't at like 1 time speed. So now we're basically just riding a chocobo back to academia. Ideally, you want a 1 chocobo journey here, so you don't have to have the animation of the chocobo running away and sees like fall into the ground, and then having to get on another one. But I did have to do a 2 chocobo run here, I think. I think it was just as I was getting back towards Rubrum. The chocobo ran away. I was a little annoyed. I was a little bit worried / annoyed by that jewel horn, because it was on like the direct line I wanted to take to cut through that forest. So I had to sort of like change my angle a little bit to run around it. I think it's like just up here. Maybe it is in Rubrum, but at some point I think I lose this chocobo. Yeah, there we go. So you can get like chocobo to take you all the way. It doesn't happen every time, but it's not too uncommon. That was actually accidental, loading up the save file there. I mean, that probably cost about 5 seconds. This section, you basically just have to wait for the story to play out. Ace can't die, and you can't do anything to the level 99 Ursus, so it's kind of... I like to dodge away and see if I can not get hit once. It doesn't mean anything, but I don't know, it's just something to do during this section. So now we're basically just running around, progressing the story. Eventually we'll go to Pandemonium and start the trials. Interesting little bit of tech there I discovered recently. When you talk to Nagi the first time, you can run away from him whilst it's fading to black. So you can actually get close to the door. So it saves you like maybe a second or two of running once you get out of the once you get out of skipping the cutscene. Can't do it the second time though. It only works the first time. And we get Celestia to fly us to the temple. The start of these trials are kind of slow. We have to wait for Sid to do a bunch of talking before we can do anything. Then the second trial we do is a trial that is basically just survive for 2 minutes 13 seconds. So we basically just have to wait out the clock, which is always the most super fun thing to do in a speedrun. So I like to go Size Quick, King, Queen, and then Cater, Jack, Tray. I like to just stand here and wait for that guy to disappear and then get closer and then just spam thunders into him. He normally dies pretty quickly. Just equip him Ether here as well. Get Cease up to full mana and then move on to the wait for 2.5 minutes room. Man, I so wish there was a way to skip this room. Yeah, it's not really a lot to talk about here again. These guys, like, I think they take about 30 seconds to get up, so you end up having to kill them like, I don't know, 3 or 4 times a piece. They're not particularly difficult to kill, and they don't really present a threat. I have rarely seen Jack die here, which like super sucks, but it almost never happens. I've seen it like once or twice ever. But like sometimes he just gets hit by one of the Rursas and has a kill sight applied to him and then gets hit by another one. But again, it's like so uncommon, it's not even a realistic fear. Can't actually see how long's left on the timer because of the box, but it's probably like a minute left or something. Maybe, I don't know. Actually, this might be the last set of kills. Yeah, there we go. I think they call this out on commentary, but as well, you can like run through this room too fast if you exit the other side before you've accepted the SO, the Sid's Crucible SO, you actually have to run through like an extra time, which kind of sucks. It's just a small time loss. I've started immediately targeting, like, so I've started doing this thing where I don't move when I enter this room, and I just target from where I start standing, and you almost always target the candle on the right, and then when you switch to the left, you target the one on the left, so you can get the first two candles really quickly. You then run forward in the room, get the one in the middle, and then get the two at the back, and then you can just do that room super quick. So I was really happy with that execution there. I think that's the best I've ever got it since I started doing that strat. Here, I was really happy to see the Iron Giant not doing his invincible thing. I thought I'd messed this up by attacking too soon before a kill site came, but sometimes you can just like kill him without a kill site, and that happened. So yeah, maybe I got a bit lucky there, I'm not sure, but got through it nevertheless. This was the point when I thought that this was the point when I knew that I was definitely, almost certainly going to get a PB, and I started to think that the record might be on, because of how well the candle room in the Iron Giant went, and I knew that if I got a good attack only room there, a good magic only room and a good attack only room, but specifically a good attack only room, I knew I would be able to get a really strong time. And I was actually also moving really well through this maze. Like, I was moving really far over towards the doors before harvesting them, which I normally try to do, but normally I don't do it as well as I did it here. I got through this maze really nice and speedy. I think I over blizzarded that guy, but I didn't think the first blizzard would hit him because of he was in his invincible state, like in his phased out state. I did something silly here. Sometimes if you harvest these things too early, before the Sid's Crucible thing has come up, the Zabiones don't actually, the giant flans don't spawn immediately. I switched to Queen here and used a Flanus because I was thinking that I would one-hit these guys, which I did. The Rosom Reaver took a bit longer than you'd like to go down, and then I ran out of the Flanus by the time I got to these guys, which kind of sucked. I managed to dispatch them pretty quickly though, so that's not an issue. But yeah, getting that delayed spawn of the big flans at the start was not great. I mean, it only cost me like 5 seconds or something, but it's still not great. So here I was in Magic Only Room, and I was basically just the only thing I had on my mind was don't use an attack. So you can actually line this up. I use like the cube in the background and the cube in the foreground to line up where the bat's going to come in. Then you can actually run to this wyvern and immediately like get on top of him and blizzard him. The other wyvern, I was quite lucky that he flew into the path of the Ursus, so he got hit by the blizzard as I went as he came past. So that was a little bit lucky. Sometimes he can like just fly off in a random direction and troll, but he flew into the blizzard this time, which was good. This room, there's not a lot to do. You just have to go along and destroy these pillars, line up the last pillar's destruction with the flames on the eye. And then we basically just look to kill off king and queen, so get hit once for a kill site and then get hit again for death. I got these really good actually. This guy just was really compliant. Killed them off nice and easy. And then basically just wait for the door to open here. So now I was just like, at this point, I'm just hyper focused on attack only room. I think I probably should be waiting to get in the room to use the aura just because it lasts a tiny bit longer then. I think I lose it partway through the room, but killing the Ursun Reaver here immediately is really good. I get this guy quite easy as well, get a pick off. I probably should have gone over the bridge before trying to mess about with this guy, but I got over there eventually anyway, so it wasn't a big deal. Yeah, so killed off that Ursun Reaver. I probably could have left this bomb and probably should have left this bomb and focused on the other Ursun Reaver, and then I focused on that bomb and I basically ran out of aura, so I think I probably should have just focused on the Ursun Reaver and then worried about use the aura to kill him and then worried about the bombs. But these platforms lined up really well for me, so I could basically run straight through for the end, which, I mean, I got through there with 9:10 left on the clock for, I think, roughly for attack only room, which is, I think, I've got through there with like 9:20 something before, but that's a really fast time to get through there, to have 9:10 left on the clock. So at this point, this was the point when I was actually fairly sure that I was actually going to record. Just because I knew that I was 20 seconds ahead at the last split, and I knew I needed 40 seconds to equal the record, and I was fairly confident I was more than 20 seconds ahead of PB on this split. Because like pretty much everything you want to go right had gone right. I'd got the quick lantern room, I'd got the quick Iron Giant kill, I'd got a good attack, very good attack only room, a good magic only room. I was basically at this point thinking, as long as Gilgamesh doesn't troll, I'm pretty good for a really solid time. Although I was trying not to think about it too much because I didn't want to psych myself out. That room was like pretty standard. I mean, these first three rooms, are fairly like there's not there's only really one way to play each of these rooms, and nothing can really go wrong. So we just kill off the 2 Reavers and then move into the next room. So I've started using the Triad attack to kill the Golem because it kills him off so fast. That does cause an issue in the following room where you need to actually charge up a bit of gauge to get your Triad attack again, because I like to use it for the boss, or one of the 2 bosses in the next door as well. So when I go into the next door, you'll see that normally I would basically do double Blizzard attack, but instead I do like Blizzard and then some chip attacks just to finish it off. That was a nice quick room. And then we used Triad attack, switch target, charge attack on that guy, and very quick room. Something weird happened there actually with Cater. She was like running really slowly. I don't know why it was. I don't know if it's some sort of like graphical bug or something, but something weird happened there. So now I was just like basically thinking I just need to nail this Gilgamesh and then I've got a really solid time. We always start off with a fire here because it hits his break site, then we use a first aid kit to get aura. So I also attack him from the front and do that thing I was talking about where you do lightning flash attack, then you can get another one in. So I actually missed this break site because I accidentally get behind him and his shield blocks. But even though I'm not hitting break sites here, I am chipping him from the front. So you kind of, with Jack, you normally want to attack from the back because he's got like, I think it's something like 20 times crit chance from behind. But obviously Gilgamesh's shield stops him being hit from the back, so you can only hit from the front. But if you do hit from the front with Jack there, you can chip him quite fast, even if you don't hit the break sites. At this point, I knew that I was crushed. Like I'd pretty much crushed these trials because to be in here at 143 is. So I think I'd done a practice run earlier in the day before this run, and I was in here at 145, and I got a 152 at the end, like a 152.59. So at this point, knowing I was like 2 minutes ahead of that run, I was actually like fairly sure I was on a 150 pace. I think traditional wisdom here is to use 8 because he dodges the fastest, but I've started using 7. I think she's marginally faster, and I think Foxy tried it out and confirmed that he also thinks it's faster here. So I pretty much just switched to using 7 now, but it's like really marginal, the time difference between the 2 of them. But she seems to get there 1 dialogue line of Sid sooner, so seems to be that she's slightly faster. Managed to skip those cutscenes pretty well, and I got really good spawns on the characters. I think I was able to kill them all off in sets of 3. So I've started bringing out Sank and Deuce alongside Cease here. Because I obviously don't want to start with Sank or Deuce or Cease, to be honest. So I don't want them to be in my final 3. So I've got Ace, 9, 8, and Trey here as my last 4. I don't mind seeing any of them, although I think 8 is the one I want to see the least. I actually kind of wanted to see 9 the most, and I ended up getting him. Just because I wanted to do the jump strat, which I think is kind of cool. Although, once I got 9, I actually really started kind of internally worrying that I was going to miss it, but I just trusted my timings and managed to land it. Probably would have preferred knowing I was on really solid pace just to get Ace or Trey, but felt really good to land that, to be honest. So it feels kind of weird listening to this without the music, but there we go. So now we basically just cycle through all the characters one at a time. I like to start with, I mean, the typical wisdom is to bring out the ranged characters. I like to use Ace and Trey early on. Nine's also good, as demonstrated. Kate is also good. But you basically want to use 3 of the ranged characters first, so that because he's got like a magic shield up. I don't like using King actually. I find his attacks to be kind of slow and hard to hit the break site timing with dodges. But once you get past 3 harvested Phantomas, he starts dropping down like this rather than swinging his sword down from up high, and much easier to hit the break sites here. So now once we got through 5, we can just start spamming our magic users. It's basically now just a cycle of run in, hit the break site, harvest the Phantoma, resummon. At this point, I'd unmuted myself. I was deafened in the Discord call for the entire run up until I got to the Rem and Mac in a bit. When that cutscene started, that was a good point to switch windows to Discord and undeafen myself. So it was kind of funny. I didn't realize until about, I think it was about 1:48, just after 1:48 on the clock, that the commentators realized what the pace was. I didn't realize that they hadn't realized it at that point. Yeah, this was pretty sick to get, to be honest, in the relay. And obviously finishing on Jack because it's the only real way to finish. You were busy. I mean, yeah, to be fair, it was Farrow that noticed, yeah. But yeah, this is it's nice to finish with Jack. And boom, there we go. The timer on the thing said 1:50:27 on the actual time we normally split, but it starts 4 seconds later, I think.